Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is awesome!
Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. This is a classic review of SummerSlam 1992 as suggested by friend of the channel and actual professional wrestler Michael Rothrock, so we thank you for that one. The only person that voted, so he automatically won, but you know, he suggested this SummerSlam and I was all up for it because I love this SummerSlam. It is SummerSlam at 1992, took place at Wembley Stadium, the only one of the big four to ever come across the pond to England, to Great Britain, and put on a big show. And it's one of the ones that are fondly remembered by everyone who is a wrestling fan in the UK, and I'm sure by some that are in America as well and across the world, because it was that kind of thing. You know, it was the only one of the big four that's ever been outside the sort of North America. Obviously they've been to Canada and things like that, but they've never been across the pond, so you can imagine how much effort it took to put everything together. But Wembley Stadium absolutely packed out, 80,000 plus people packed into Wembley Stadium, and it took place on the 29th of August 1992, but was aired on the 31st, so the Americans could watch it, our cousins across the pond. So we begin video with the beginning of SummerSlam 1992. Begin with what only the Americans could ever think the music that we listened to. Bearing in mind this is 1992, it's pretty much the start of rave culture. Only Americans could think we could possibly listen to that kind of music. Lots of pomp and lots of circumstance, lots of violins playing and things like that, shots of London, and they pick out the most British looking people you could ever imagine to start this one. Stereotypical examples of what Brits or what Americans think British people are like, and they have to dig these people out of the 80,000 plus people that are there. Only WWE could ever do that, and the reason Mr. Rothrock has suggested this video is because he was in the crowd. I didn't see him, didn't know where he was sat, but I did keep a lookout for him. I got a couple of ideas where he could have been. He said he was in the front row, so been looking around for him. Bearing in mind it's a long time since this show happened, and Rothrock is obviously a bit older now. Yeah. You know, a couple of people dressed as lawmen. Maybe they are Michael Rothrock, but who knows? Who knows? Look for him, like I say, throughout the show. So, like I say, winner of the poll. So, let's get on with SummerSlam 1992, having done that rather long introduction. So just before we get into the main part of the show, just want to do some cheap shots and call outs. Like I say, Mr. Rothrock, thank you for suggesting this classic review for us, SummerSlam 1992. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, all things that weren't available in 1992 but are now available in 2019. It was a long time ago. And obviously subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when we upload new content to the channel, and obviously go over to the blog spot. That's cheapshotentertainment.blogspot.co.uk, and there's a link there to the t-shirt store where you can purchase some awesome t-shirts. If you want to support the channel, that is the best way to do it. Get the name out there, purchase some t-shirts, we get a little bit of money from it, and we continue to roll on with the revolution of British wrestling. So we get introduced to the commentators for this show. Sir Bobby Heenan, King of England, is alongside Vincent Kennedy McMahon on commentary. These two make an excellent commentary team, only secondary to Bobby the Brain and Gorilla Monsoon for me. And obviously you got to then look at King and JR as well. But Vince McMahon on commentary, welcome to SummerSlam. You know, all that kind of stuff is really cool. I love it. Gets you going. And Fink is on the microphone doing the announcing. He's on announcer duty. Finkus Maximus, Howard Finkel, however you want to call him, he is on the mic, dropping the mic for every single match. We go on to the first match now. Is a tag team contest. It pits Money Incorporated, which is Erwin R. Shyster and Ted DiBiase, with Jimmy Hart versus the Legion of Doom. Two of my absolute favourite teams in professional wrestling. Legion of Doom were always cool. They came out with the spikes and things like that. Got them as wrestling figures. I've still got the wrestling figures actually, which is pretty cool, way back when Hasbro were doing the things. And I've also got DiBiase and Erwin R. Shyster, two wrestlers who I didn't appreciate back in 1992, but having watched this show and other shows as well, really appreciate what they did for heel tag teams across the globe. And obviously Animal Hawk, very famous entrance here. Coming down on the Harley Davidsons, you've got Paul Ellering leading the way with Rocco the ventriloquist dummy riding on the front of his motorbike. Bit of a brain scan here from Bobby the Brain Heenan, Sir Bobby the Brain Heenan. He says that when the Bank of England need credit, when they need a credit line, the Bank of England need a credit line, they go to Money Inc. And Erwin R. Shyster showing that he's way ahead of his time by saying, if all of you British tax cheats would pay your taxes, then the royal family would be fed and watered. Basically, just brilliant. Instant heat, love it. LAD come out on the Harley Davidsons, like I've mentioned. Golden shoulder pads as well, that only LOD could do. It's all LOD at the beginning of this match, using IRS's choice of ring attire against him. Obviously he's wearing a proper tie, and if you wear a proper tie in the ring, you're going to get it stomped on and pulled and pushed and all that kind of stuff. IRS does eventually get Hawk, get back on top of Hawk in a sleeper hold, gets him in a sleeper hold, locks him down tight, cutting the Hawk down to size, taking him down to one knee. The Wembley crowd is completely behind LOD at this point, but the way Hawk comes back, gets to his corner, follows with a clothesline and missing it. So he doesn't tries to get to his corner, doesn't do it. Does get back on top, hits the clothesline, goes to the top, tries to hit a flying clothesline. IRS ducks. Hook rolls all the way out of the ring. Quite a good spot, that. Straight to the outside. Money Inc. now in complete control. Ha 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 ha! Everyone's got a price for the $1 million man. And distraction techniques gain a massive advantage here for Money Inc. Absolute clinic of tag team wrestling, and they beat up the Hawk a bit more Animal is seething on the outside. He's ready to get in. The mouth of the South chips in. He berates Hawk while he's being beaten down, and this is what I love about late 80s, early 90s wrestling. You've got the managers out at ringside as well, using the tag ropes to choke Hawk. Tag is finally made, but the referee doesn't see it. Again, those distraction techniques are absolutely brilliant. Double hot tags for IRS and Hawk. Animal comes in, DiBiase comes in. Animal completely cleans house in this one. This is setting up for the Doomsday device, but that is cut off by IRS and basically puts DiBiase into an electric chair drop. Animal hits a power slam on DiBiase for the win for LOD. Really good match to get things started. Big fan of tag team wrestling. I think a good tag team match can really get a crowd going and start a show, and this did exactly that. Great opening contest from the golden age of tag team wrestling. The first golden age of tag team wrestling. Of course, the second golden age came in the Attitude Era, and eventually we're going to do some classic Attitude Era pay-per-views as well, as long as they get nominated by you guys. So get on those social networks and tell us what you want us to review. Going on to the next match, the in-between, we've got Ric Flair in an interview saying, why haven't I got a match? He's interviewing with Mean Gene, teasing the idea that Mr. Perfect would be in Macho Man's corner or Ultimate Warrior's corner. Yeah, Ric Flair looks ready for action. He just turned up, he put his robe on. Why wouldn't you walk around in one of those robes? They are brilliant. Virgil interview now with Sean Mooney. Never been a massive fan of Virgil, although I do have one of his figurines, his Hasbro figurine. He gets a singles match. Ric Flair doesn't. Interesting. Nails versus Virgil. Down. Nails, never been a fan of. Virgil, I suppose I was on the bandwagon when I was younger, because obviously he'd broken away from Ted DiBiase. I didn't like Ted DiBiase, and now I do. So now it's got to be the other way around. Nails just appears in the ring as if by magic, some Harry Potter magic, before Harry Potter was even a thing. He just appears in the ring, and Virgil gets a proper entrance, but he takes advantage of Virgil on his entrance, using his size to his advantage, and sends Virgil to the outside of the ring pretty much straight away. It's not a pretty match, there's lots of rest holds. Sleeper locked in on Virgil for a long time, and the winner is Nails by technical knockout. The ref throws out the match as Virgil cannot continue, and Nails uses the Bossman's knife stick, which he has had a feud with the Bossman previously. Maybe this is why Rothrock was there to cheer on the Bossman, one of the first ever lawmen in professional wrestling. We now have one of our own right here in the East Midlands. Picks up the knife stick to attack Virgil and starts smashing him up. Not a great match. I'd skip over this one if I was you. There's lots of better matches on the card. There's too many piss break matches to mention on this card. Like, say, why Ric Flair? Why doesn't he have a match? Virgil gets a match. Virgil versus Nails. Who gives a... Yeah, exactly. Anyway, singles match next is Rick Martel and Shawn Michaels. I thought this one was going to be a bit of a stinker. I've seen it loads of times, but you've got two very technically sound, very knowledgeable wrestlers in the ring, and obviously Sensational Sherry knows what she's doing outside the ring as well. So it's Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels, and the stipulation in this match is no touching of the face, because, you know, they're both pretty good looking guys. You know, I think I'd have that stipulation on one of my matches, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so they're fighting for the affection of the sensational Sherry. She's wearing an outfit that doesn't leave much to the imagination, exposing her cheeks, shall we say, in this match to the crowd at Wembley. I'm sure some of the older members of that audience were very happy with that. Anyway, I could tell that Vince McMahon was. His voice went up at least 3 stages higher, 3 pitches higher, and he wasn't down here, but he's up here. It's like, yay! So, and then we get a massive recap of everything that's happened between HBK and Martel. One of the only packages, really, that we get for a match, so that you could tell this was on the fringe of being for the Intercontinental title or something like that. Recap, HBK getting involved in the models match, in Rick Martel's match, disqualified. Rick Martel flirts with Sherry, and Sherry flirts with Rick Martel. The model uses magic to get to the ring, but does have music at least. So we are now at the point where we are on the match. Brain whistles to the music, and Vince McMahon gets really annoyed. He's like, "And will you stop it?" No. Like I said before, the stipulation in this match, which is actually pretty good, is no face shots, no direct face touching or slapping for either guy. Early exchanges end with Martel crashing and burning from a high flying move. Doesn't take long for Martel to get back on top, however. I think he's playing more of the face role in this match, with Shawn Michaels being the Heartbreak Kid, doing all the sexy boys stuff, and Martel gets back on top. There's moons exchanged inside the ring. Both guys try and grab the tights for a win, and there's butt cheeks everywhere. There's butt cheeks over there, and there's butt cheeks over there. All the girls are going, "Hey, look at the butt cheeks." But yeah, it's just a butt cheek, man. It's just a butt cheek. They exchange, and both try and pull the tights to gain the victory, and that doesn't work. Michaels then tries to get a leverage pin again on Martel, and Martel then retaliates, and this is where the match breaks down from the stipulation that there's going to be no face slapping. Obviously that's an unofficial stipulation. That is something that's been put in place by Sensational Sherry because she likes both guys, and face slaps are exchanged between the two, and Sherry faints. She fakes a faint, and faints on the outside. Both guys are concerned for Sherry, probably Rick Martel a bit more concerned than Shawn Michaels. Like I say, it's not a long match. There's not much going off. But technically, and the story that it tells, it makes it good for me. I enjoyed it. It was funny, especially when Sherry fakes the fainting, because it's so fake it's unbelievable. Sorry, kayfabe. So yeah, both guys get counted out at this point, and they then fight over who's going to take Sensational Sherry to the back. She's fainted, let's take her back. Shawn Michaels picks her up, but Rick Martel then attacks Shawn Michaels, and this is where it gets funny, because then Sensational Sherry gets chucked to the floor as the other two guys are fighting. So then the model gets back on top. He picks up Sensational Sherry. He's carrying her a little bit of the way, and Shawn Michaels comes in and takes out the model, and Sherry gets chucked to the floor once again. It's crazy. It's really funny. I found it really funny that both guys are really really concerned about this woman. They're carrying her to the back to get some medical attention, and yet they're going to beat each other up while each other's carrying the woman to the back, the Sensational Sherry, and she just gets chucked all over the place, and I just found that really, really funny. And they go fighting, they fight all the way to the entrance ramp. It's at this point that Rick Martel goes and fetches a bucket of water to try and revive Sensational Sherry. He chucks that on Sensational Sherry, and Shawn Michaels gets a little bit of it too. Sensational Sherry falls to the floor again. But at least she's awake now. And then the model and Shawn Michaels fight all the way to the back as Sensational Sherry just gets left on the rampway, the entranceway, the aisle, or whatever you want to call it, as the other two battle to the back. It was so funny. Really funny match. I don't think it was supposed to be funny, but inadvertently it was absolutely hilarious. Definitely one to watch in this show. So we move on next to the WWF Tag Team Championship match. It is the Natural Disasters who are face in this. I don't know what led to that face turn, because I, didn't have Sky at the time. I just, caught up on this eventually. If I'd have known it was on, obviously, a big wrestling fan, I would have tried to get tickets, or just pestered my mum and dad to get me tickets, because that's what you do as a kid, isn't it? So they're going against the Beverly Brothers, a tag team that I don't really care for, to be honest, apart from Jacques Rougeau being on the French announce team these days in WWE. Hello, Jacques. So we got Jack. That's the Fabulous Rougeaus. I don't even know anymore. Bo Beverly and Blake Beverly with the Genius, also known as a Poffo, and a Poffo is a Randy Savage's brother. Brilliant, you can tell, he's got a beard, got a long hair. The Genius is Randy Savage's real life brother. He is Lanny Poffo, and he reads a poem. I always enjoyed the Genius's poems, and he reads this poem, and it's well received by the Wembley crowd. The Natural Disasters are face now. Disasters on top in this match early on, and they get but after a cheap shot from the Beverly Brothers, they get on top, and they are. After being squashed, they've been sandwiched, and Vince McMahon says, "Talk about the Earl of Sandwich." Yes, Earl of Sandwich. Squashed, this backfires, and the challengers move in to pick the bones of Tugboat, who is not Tugboat, Typhoon. He used to be Tugboat, and then he turned into Typhoon. Typhoon, who is easy pickings at this point. And can you have a face team called the Natural Disasters? One's an earthquake and one's a typhoon. Both kill people. Not the wrestlers, obviously, but the Natural Disasters do. Pick up the pieces. Shawn Michaels. This is an announcement now made by Bobby the Brain Heenan. He says that Shawn Michaels has left Wembley Stadium. That is really important, because obviously we need to know that Shawn Michaels has left the building. The Beverleys are in complete control at this point, and they're taking apart Typhoon. Earthquake is seething on the outside. He's waiting to get back in. He's taking down the big man a lot. With rest holds and things like that, trying to cut off the circulation, the air, the Typhoon, and Typhoon uses his strengths to get the tag, but the referee doesn't see it again. Another one of those spots, but you got to do these things sometimes. Referee doesn't see the tag. He sends Earthquake back to the outside, and this is where the Beverleys continue their assault on Typhoon. But Typhoon is knocked down with a drop kick. Bo hits Typhoon with the scroll. Earthquake, you don't want to know what's been written down here. I think that is yeah, that is autocorrect. He hits Bo's head, and so he gets the scroll. He hits Bo's head with it over the head. Quake is off the Richter scale at this point. He gets in a flurry of huge moves and finishes Blake off by doing his earthquake bounce thing, a move that I had on my video games for quite a while because I thought it was really cool, and it still is cool. You know, a big guy just bounces off the ropes, and then sits on you. You ain't coming up from that. You ain't getting up from that. Who needs a power slam? Just sit on him. And yeah, Natural Disasters keep the Tag Team Championships. The Genius is then thrown over the top rope by the Natural Disasters on to the Beverly Brothers, and that is the end of that match. Not a great tag team match, lots of rest holds. Obviously Natural Disasters aren't as athletic as some of the teams that could be in that title picture, but yeah, they're sufficient. I'd put that as a bit of an in-betweener, because I know I'm a bit biased when it comes to tag team wrestling, but the next match was much worse. It is Crush versus the Repo Man, former tag team in Demolition. One's now from Hawaii and the other one repossesses cars. Yeah, the height of the 90s in wrestling. Crush fends off an early attempt to gain an advantage from the Repo Man, and he sends Repo Man straight to the outside with a gorilla press slam. Very sick looking gorilla press slam as well. We know Crush is very strong, but then again the Repo Man was when he was in Demolition. It wasn't called the Reaper Man, obviously. I'm not quite sure whether it was Axe or Smash, but he was one of them. And yeah, Demolition. What were they, 4-5-time tag team champions? But yeah, Crush is in complete control. Puts the thumbs. Repo Man then does what Repo Man does. Puts the thumbs to Crush's eyes and gains the advantage. Doesn't take very long for Crush to fly and miss the Repo Man, getting all these dastardly moves in. And what's yours, mine? And what's mine's mine? And what's his is mine too. Yeah, I do like the Repo Man. Just go on record. I think he was a good character. Well, he's universally slated. I think he, you know, given time, he could have. You know, there was a time when, you know, Batman villains were rife in wrestling. So yeah, Repo Man then gets control. Gets Crush in a faceplant. Repo gets caught in a power slam. Crush uses the vice grip and wins the match via submission. This gets a double down. It was absolutely awful match, and again Ric Flair doesn't have a match. I don't know the ins and outs of that, whether Ric Flair was injured. I don't know, but he certainly was heavily involved in a match later on in the card, so I can't see that being a thing. But yeah, this match was awful. Only saved by what would be the next match. So at least they're filtering the awful matches or not so great matches in with the better matches, because a lot of these matches are quite slow, but some of the matches tell better stories than others, and this leads us to the next match, which is for the WWF Championship, Heavyweight Championship of the world. It is your current champion winning, of course, the championship against Ric Flair at WrestleMania 8 in the Hoosier Dome in wherever the Hoosier Dome was. I think it's Houston. That stadium is not around anymore, but it was a feat, a marvel of engineering. So if you ever get a chance to check out WrestleMania 8, that was probably one of my earliest memories of watching WWE pay-per-views. WrestleMania 8, so we're talking 1992 is when I really got into things. My favourite Royal Rumble is 1992. You talk about SummerSlam, you talk about 1992. For me, WrestleMania 8 was really good, and they should have just had Savage and Flair as the main event. Didn't really care for the Hogan Justice match. But there you go. Randy Savage is your champion currently, and he's going against the Ultimate Warrior. This babyface dynamic plays perfectly into the storyline that is being told by Ric Flair and Mr. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. Who is he going to be in the corner of? He's going to be in the corner of the winner. He's going to be in the corner of whoever takes the title. He is very elusive when being asked a lot of questions, and he does it perfectly, absolutely perfectly, because he is Mr. Perfect. Anyway, get into the match. Both guys has been played along, like I say, the storyline has been told really well. Both are really sort of uptight about the other one being the one that sold out throughout the match. It tells a really good story about how one guy may have sold out and the others, and then they turn on each other and they have a match to start with. They have a very respectful match to start with, and then when a certain person interjects themselves, they then start hating on each other and start beating each other up because they're both paranoid that the other one has sold out. So yeah, that is the background of the story, and we get a recap of all that. The crowd is split down the middle, but does tend to lean towards the Ultimate Warrior here. Completely split down the middle. Handshake in the middle of the ring. Doesn't take long to break down the Warrior, slowing down the match. No love lost here between the two. Words were exchanged throughout the whole storyline being told, and these two guys in 1992 were the two top guys. Hogan was nowhere to be seen on this show, and he would obviously eventually go to WCW the following year. Two main guys in the company at this point. Both have uncertainty over who Mr. Perfect will be managing. There's no technical moves here in the early going. It's just strong strikes. Savage uses Warrior's tights to drag Warrior into the turnbuckle and sends Warrior outside. To the outside, to the barriers. Inside the ring, Savage is caught on a third flying axe handle. He hits two flying axe handles from the top rope, doesn't hit a third. The Warrior catches him, and Warrior uses a backbreaker here to regain the advantage. The focus is on Randy Savage's back from the Warrior, and Randy Savage's focus on the arm, actually on the shoulder. Savage back in control after ending the Warriors into the ropes and jumping over to the outside in his classic heel type moves. He grabs his opponent, jumps over the top rope and sends them into the ropes, causing a sort of whiplash effect. The Warrior's focus is still on the back of Randy Savage. Savage tries to pick him up but can't. Tries to pick him up for a slam to get ready for the huge elbow drop. He can't do that. Savage uses Warrior's momentum to send him out to the outside again, and then hits an axe handle to the outside. Again, Randy Savage showing how progressive he was back in 1992. Fighting on the outside, Flair and Mr. Perfect then make their way to the ring, to ringside, to interject themselves into this match. The Warrior sets up for a splash, but Savage gets knees up. So the guys hit a double clothesline, both guys go down, and this is where Mr. Perfect interjects himself into the match. Savage tries to get the upper hand, going to the ropes. Mr. Perfect trips Savage. There's a ref bump here, and Warrior heads to the top. He hits an axe handle and gets a near fall. Another ref bump here from Earl Hebner. Greatest falls of Earl Hebner. These are the bumps that will go on that compilation 6 Blu-ray collection of the greatest falls of Earl Hebner. Pile driver, and the referee goes out as Mr. Perfect and Flair attack Warrior on the outside. Savage goes for the elbow but stops, realizing that there's no way that he caused that damage. The Warrior sensing victory after Savage hits that elbow drop because he misses. Warrior sensing the victory and hits all of his signature moves and gorilla press into the splash attempt as Flair cracks Warrior with a chair. Savage goes up to the top rope again, and this is where he has doubts, knowing that he didn't cause the damage that's left Warrior on the floor, and leaps out to the floor to attack Ric Flair. This backfires on him. He gets hit by the chair from Ric Flair, and he gets counted out basically, and the match is deemed as a count out. The Ultimate Warrior wins. Randy Savage keeps the title. Perfect and Flair try to destroy Savage at this point, knowing that the opening is there. The Warrior comes round and helps Randy Savage chase off Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect, and both guys stand tall in the ring and help each other out to the back. So that match, wow, masterclass in wrestling storytelling. It's really, really good match as well. Obviously two technically sound, one technically sound wrestler in Randy Savage, and the other one being the Ultimate Warrior. Of course, having the skills and the mindset that Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect have between them, that little interjection there, that little added bonus made the match even better. And sometimes when you get run-ins, it doesn't work. This one really did take notes. It's a really good run-in. It tells a really fantastic story. Very much an up in this one. Very, very good match. However, obviously we've still got a couple more matches to go, and going on to the next match, this is following a really good match. We get Kamala with Harvey Whippleman and Kimchi, and he is going against The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Rest in peace. Undertaker makes his entrance, comes down on the back of a hearse, which is really cool. Taker is the aggressor early on in this match, knowing that the Ugandan Giant is a formidable opponent, very dangerous foe for the Undertaker as well. It doesn't take long for Kamala to become the aggressor instead, but can't take the Undertaker down. All those big heavy moves that he's hitting doesn't work. After some fighting on the outside, Taker gets back in the match with a choke slam, flying clothesline and a tombstone attempt before Kimchi injects himself in the match, and interferes, giving Taker the victory via disqualification. The only thing that makes this an in-between match is that Kamala's reaction to the Undertaker chasing him, I say chasing, very slowly walking after him like some kind of serial killer, like a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees, and that makes this match an in-between. I like the finish. So yeah, didn't like the DQ. I thought there's too many managers out there, but I do appreciate managers. But it's Kamala's face. He looks absolutely terrified. He sells this completely. And after the match, Kamala beats down the Undertaker. Undertaker sits up and then chases. He stalks his opponent down the aisle to the back, and we go on to the main event now, which is the showcase of SummerSlam being at Wembley. It is for the WWF Intercontinental Championship, and it is your champion Bret the Hitman Hart, crowd favourite, and the home country boy British Bulldog. And Bulldog has an interview before the match. Bret Hart has an interview, but Bulldog, I think it was Hitman actually, saying that when Bulldog wakes up tomorrow, he's going to feel like he's been at the dungeon in Windsor Castle. I did actually look into this. There is a dungeon in Windsor Castle. Apparently, the Queen during World War II would go down there in a bunker, bug infested and all that kind of stuff. It's a dungeon after all. Not obviously no one down there these days, but didn't think there was a dungeon in Windsor Castle, and there is. So Bret Hitman Hart did his research there, and that's why he's a consummate professional. We do get an intermission here, and we get Scotland the Brave being played by a bagpipe band, and none other than Rowdy Roddy Piper comes out to join them and plays the bagpipes as well, which is quite impressive. I've heard those things are not easy to play. But we get another brain scan here, and Bobby the Brain Heenan does what he does best, and he says it's just a load of grown men wearing skirts playing vacuum cleaners. That is Bobby the Brain Heenan at his best. Like I say, they perform Scotland Brave. It's really, really cool. So we get into the main event now. Like I say, WWF Intercontinental Championship. It's British Bulldog versus Bret the Hitman Hart. British Bulldog is led to the ring. My gold medalist, Olympic winner, Lennox Lewis, looking very young here, but there is 1992. He is led to the ring by Lennox Lewis. He's waving the flag and all the pageantry and all that kind of stuff. Bret Hart just gets his normal entrance, which is still pretty cool because the music's cool. Gives the goggles, gives his glasses to one of the young fans in the audience. Well, early on here, it's very well known that Bret Hart carried this match. He planned the whole thing, and it's a testament to the man's intelligence inside those ropes that he was managing to do this. The Bulldog, in a time where it wasn't acceptable, but it was sort of brushed under the carpet. Apparently, British Bulldog was up smoking crack all night with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Anyway, so Bret Hart couldn't, he had to plan this match without the British Bulldog. And it was his idea as well to put the British Bulldog over with Shawn Michaels and model Rick Martel having their feud. So how about putting British Bulldog over? He wasn't going to be in this title match, British Bulldog, until they moved the show from America to Britain and said, right, okay, get the British Bulldog, because obviously people are going to go nuts for it, and so they did. And like I say, it's common knowledge that Bret Hart did carry this match, but it makes it a fantastic match. Bulldog does his thing, but Bret Hart set it up from start to finish. So early on, Bulldog uses his power to overcome Bret the Hitman Hart's technical ability. Early on, rest holds from a technically sound Hitman, trying to take the power game away from the British Bulldog. British Bulldog shows his own technical skills here, escaping an armbar. Bulldog now has Bret in the rest holds, holding on to the arm. Hitman reverses and takes down the Bulldog as the pace quickens slightly. So obviously you would think that Bret Hart had the upper hand with the pace quickening. This is a wrestling story telling lesson, and it's at its absolute best as well. Bulldog tries to fly. Bulldogs can't fly. Don't ever go up to the top rope. Don't fly, and misses completely. It's a spectacular miss. Hitman is then back on top. Doesn't take him long, and Bret performs a mad diving move over the ropes onto into sort of like a sling blade. Bulldog is on the outside, jumps over like a springboard or catapult, and hits it like a sling blade. I can only imagine. I can only sort of explain it as a sling blade maneuver onto the outside, and continues the assault on British Bulldog. They fight on the outside a little bit more, and Hitman remains in control completely. Bulldog is out of it at this point. Bret the Hitman Hart is carrying most of this match, and Hitman continues to wear down the Bulldog in his home country. He hits a snap suplex and tries for multiple covers, but to no avail. Bulldog has obviously still got a little bit of power, and the Hitman continues to control the match and dominate his opponent. Bulldog escapes a sleeper by reaching for the ropes. Bret Hart quickly puts the hold back on the Bulldog. Bulldog breaks the hold again and is now in control as he hits a gorilla press slam, but this goes wrong. He loses his footing, and Bulldog is still in complete control. Bret the Hitman Hart has to sort of save himself by holding onto the ropes, and that sort of takes out Bret the Hitman Hart at this point in time. There's a stalling vertical suplex from the British Bulldog, almost gets the finish on the champion, but Bret Hart kicks out. Bulldog is now relentless. Running power slam leads to a near fall. Bret hits a German suplex on the British Bulldog after a float over. Superplex from the British Bulldog leads to another near fall by the British Bulldog. Bret attempts to put on the sharpshooter. Bearing in mind both guys are down. Apparently Bret the Hitman Hart woke up his wife at 2 a.m. in the morning, says we've got to try this move, and he convinced her to lay on the floor, and so he could try and put this move on his wife, this sharpshooter. And then both lying on the backs, he sort of wraps there and then rolls into the sharpshooter, puts it on absolutely perfectly. It works so well. So thank you to Bret Hart's wife for putting up with how much he loves wrestling and how technically sound he is by practicing that move on his missus. Bulldog and has it cinched in title. Bulldog reaches for the ropes back to the middle of the ring. Bret attempts a sunset flip, and this is countered. Bulldog grabs the legs. We get a 1, 2, 3 roll up pin and victory for the British Bulldog, who becomes the new Intercontinental Champion in London at SummerSlam. Great match, great time to finish. Really good match. Can't say how good this match was, and it makes the whole show just go up a little bit more. But we're going to go, that's it, that's everything that happened, at SummerSlam 1992. So that is everything that happened in 1992 at SummerSlam at Wembley Arena in London on the 29th of August 1992. Classic show, classic review from Cheap Shot Entertainment as nominated by Michael Rothrock. And yeah, really enjoyed watching this one, so thank you, Mikey. Really enjoyed it. Was going to get Zuzzy Z in on this one, but she's end of year doing accounts and stuff at work, and I need to get this one out before I go on holiday. But yeah, really, really good show. And hugs all around for the end of SummerSlam. The IC title match isn't up. The WWE Championship isn't up. The setting is fabulous. That gets an up as well. And the opening tag match gets an up. Downs are Nails versus Virgil, Repo Man versus Crush, and it's definitely not fair to Flair because he doesn't get a match. And the in-betweeners are Model versus HBK, Undertaker versus Kamala, and the WWE Tag Team match, which I thought was in between. But my final rating for this show is 4 years out of 5 for SummerSlam at 1992. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to Cheap Shot Entertainment and become part of the Cheap Shot Nation. Hit that notification bell to know when we upload new content to the channel. Join us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Join us on the Blogspot. We've got new contributors now as well, and new articles going up all the time. That is cheapshotentertainment.blogspot.co.uk. There's a link to the t-shirt shop there if you want to support us financially. Go and buy yourself a t-shirt. You get a nice cool t-shirt, and it helps us out a little bit as well, making sure that we can continue the revolution of British wrestling. Once again, you are the Cheap Shot Nation. This has been your classic review of SummerSlam 1992. I've been your host, Luke, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.